If you'd asked me 5 years ago where I saw myself today, I would have said, anywhere but here. And yet, here I am. Heels clicking across the marble floor of the same boardroom where they broke me. The same glass walls. The same skyline, view of Manhattan. The same expensive espresso machine that never made coffee strong enough to keep me awake during those brutal 14-hour workdays. But this time, I wasn't walking in with trembling hands and big ideas. I was walking in as the woman who now owned the very empire they kicked her out of. "Miss Rowe, they're ready for you," the assistant said softly. She avoided eye contact. Maybe out of respect. Or maybe because she'd heard the rumors. I smiled slightly. "Good," I said. "Let's get this over with." As I stepped into the room, every head turned. 12 men in tailored suits, 3 women who used to pretend not to know my name. And at the end of the table, him, Uncle Martin, still wearing that smug little smile like nothing had changed. But everything had. I paused at the doorway just long enough to let the tension grow thick. I wanted them to feel it, the weight of what they did to me. The silence dragged just a second too long. That's when Martin stood up. "Emily?" he said, voice confused, but already shaking. "Hello, Uncle," I said calmly. "Let's not waste time pretending this is a surprise." The silence broke into a dozen whispers. Phones buzzed under the table. Someone cleared their throat. I walked straight to the head of the table, the same seat I once watched Martin snatch from me the day after my father's funeral. I pulled the chair back slowly and sat down. Straight spine. Chin high. Not a girl anymore. Not someone's daughter. I was the storm they didn't prepare for. Martin laughed. "You've got guts. I'll give you that. But this is a board meeting. It's not open mic night." I folded my hands, slow and deliberate. "I just bought controlling interest in Halden and Rowe," I said. 41% of your precious little playground is now mine." His smile vanished. The CFO, Mr. Dillinger, choked on his coffee. The lead counsel dropped her pen. Even Harold, the man who once called me his niece like it was an honor, went pale. "You're bluffing," Martin said. "Check your email," I said. "Or better yet, ask your board. The vote happened yesterday. You're out, Martin. Effective immediately." Silence. It was a sweet silence. A heavy, disbelieving, suffocating silence. Exactly what I wanted. But how? He finally managed to say, blinking rapidly. "You were just a kid. You didn't even finish your MBA. You couldn't handle this job when your father—" "When my father died, I wasn't weak. I was grieving. There's a difference," I snapped. "But while you were busy selling off his legacy and building your ego, I built something real. A real company. Real clients. Real power." I leaned forward. "You think you buried me, but all you did was plant me." One of the younger executives, new blood, watched me with something close to awe. "You're the founder of Nova Edge?" he asked. I nodded once. Nova Edge was the company I built from scratch in a shared WeWork space with 2 laptops and a $10,000 loan. It was now valued at over $300 million and had just poached Halden and Rowe's biggest client. They didn't see it coming, because they never thought I was capable of anything without my father. "I didn't come back for revenge," I said, standing up. "I came back to take back what's mine, and to remind you all, never underestimate the woman you tried to bury." Then I turned to the assistant by the door. "Kindly show Mr. Rowe to the exit. He has 15 minutes to clear his office. The nameplate can stay." With that, I walked out of the boardroom. No applause, no smiles, just stunned silence and the echo of heels on marble. Powerful, sharp, unbothered. I didn't need them to welcome me back, because I wasn't returning. I was taking over. The rooftop was quiet. Not the kind of quiet you hear in the countryside or during a snowfall, but that sharp, urban silence just after midnight in New York City, when the buildings themselves seem to hold their breath. I stood there, looking out over the skyline, the wind tugging lightly at the hem of my coat. The city looked smaller from up here, just like the people who once tried to break me. Behind me, the glass doors to the rooftop slid open. I didn't need to turn around to know who it was. "Didn't think you'd come," I said without looking. Martin's voice was tired. Older, not just from age, but from defeat. "I wasn't sure I should," he said. "But I figured I owed it to your father." I finally turned to face him. Same slicked back hair, same expensive coat. But the arrogance was gone now, stripped away by 1,000 little losses he never saw coming, each one delivered by the girl he once dismissed in a boardroom. "You stood in that very office and told me I wasn't ready," I said quietly. "You looked me in the eyes and told me I'd never be capable of running this company." He nodded, slowly. "I did. And when I left," I continued, voice sharpening, "you and the rest of them didn't just push me out. You erased me, like I was never there." Martin stepped forward, but I held up a hand. He stopped. "I wanted you to know," I said. "Every night I spent building Nova Edge, every sleepless launch, every investor pitch, every no I turned into a yes. I remembered what you said to me, and I used it. You gave me the best fuel in the world. Doubt," he sighed. "You proved me wrong." "No, Martin," I said. "I didn't prove you wrong. I proved me right." We stood in silence for a moment, the city glowing below us. "I'm not here to ask for forgiveness," he said. "Good," I replied, "because I didn't come here to offer any." Another long pause. "I lost," he said finally. "Yes," I answered. "You did." He nodded, then turned to go. But just before he reached the doors, I spoke again. "Martin?" He stopped. "I renamed the company this morning," I said. "It's no longer Halden and Rowe." He turned slowly, brows raised. "It's called Rowe Strategies now. Just one name, one legacy." His face didn't react, but I saw it in his eyes. The final cut. "You're becoming everything your father hoped for," he said quietly. I looked out over the city again. "No," I replied. "I'm becoming everything I was meant to be." He left without another word, and I stayed. Just me, the stars above the skyline, and the steady thrum of my city. I thought back to the first time I walked into that boardroom, hands shaking, voice too soft. I remembered the humiliation, the anger, the fear. But that girl was gone now. In her place stood a woman who had lost everything, built it all back, and claimed her throne. Not by asking, not by waiting, but by taking. They thought they buried me, but I wasn't a seed. I was the storm, and now the empire was mine. The end.